Hello, welcome to Three Crows Runes. My name is Jen. Let's do some rune readings. Today, I'm just going to push this a little bit closer. Today we're doing readings about this. Now this particular session is going to be a little bit different from our normal readings because it's going to be about the world, and it's going to be about four rather unsettling illnesses that are going on in the world. So we're going to investigate each, we're going to explore what the runes and the cards have to say about those. So there. The first one here we're going to discuss and explore is COVID, because we've all been through that. Well, we haven't all been through that, but we've all ridden that story. There's like a thing stuck here. Okay, first one is COVID. So we're going to look at where that's at right now and just sort of get an overview. Second one is going to be bird flu, because we're seeing that starting to show up in things. Third one's going to be hepatitis, which is very frightening, and that's showing up. And then the fourth one is the monkeypox, which is showing up now as well. So I'm going to put the timestamps in the description. It's not going to be like a pick a card thing. It's just going to be basically if you're interested in what the cards and runes show today about these as an overview, and I will see you there. Bye! Hello! So here's the COVID pile. So let's have a look at what card we got to start with, and then we have some bone runes that we're going to do the reading about to get an overview of what's going on with that currently. So turning this card, we have the star. So COVID, basically it looks like, you know, we are, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So where I'm living, we just finished the 6th wave. And it's sort of like it's pouring itself out. So it looks like it's still going on. We might still have a couple or a few more waves, but I think the worst of it's probably done, but there still is stuff happening. Oh, look, a little bird. There still is to come, but the star is also about guidance, so it's also just basically follow the guidance that we already know how to deal with it, and we can do that dance and we can get through that. So it's just something that it's still happening, it's still in progress, but just follow the guidance and we should be relatively okay for COVID. So let's see what the runes have to say to add to that. So let's throw down, I'll start with a splash reading, and then we're gonna go from there. So central issue for COVID is it was something that just basically burst onto the scene. It was a big reveal to everybody. It was a big revelation. You couldn't ignore it. It basically colored everything. Leading up, actually, you know, this is sort of like present. So I'm sort of reading at the present. Right now, it's still something that is there. It's basically still overlaying everything that we're doing. So we have Dagas, which is the rune of the breaking of the day. It has to do with just basically full illumination, maybe still a bit overwhelming for some. Leading up, we have Isa, which is ice. So I'm partly reading this as now, and I'm partly reading this as COVID just as a whole, the story of it. So for a long time, there was nothing that was nothing that was like this for years and years and years. And now suddenly, bang, on the scene, everything. And we could also read this as now, where it's like it's sort of been kind of still. We haven't been thinking about it as much, even though it's still been going on. And now here we are. At the same time, also, we've just come through a winter, and now we're going into a summer. So there's a few levels on which to read this. There's also something which, I mean, this is going to be somewhat facetious that I'm about to say, but maybe not 100% facetious. There's the whole thing about with the ice melting, and this is ice, and this is the breaking of the day. So it's sort of like things being revealed out of the ice. So there may be a component of sort of old viruses coming to light, but I don't know if that applies in this particular case. So anyway, COVID currently. What helps us with that is just basically keeping communication going. We have Ansus, which is the rune of communication and manifestation. I'm just going to throw down a few more on this row. What is that? Is that blank? Okay. Yeah, to be open basically to communications about that. Just basically stay open, stay in touch and stay communicating, and be aware of the communications, and that will keep you posted as well as safer, and we can just continue what we know the guidance is for that. So I'm going to read the blank rune as being open to whatever comes in. What isn't going to help is the fact that we have Ayavaz, which is the rune of yew tree, which is patience and slow growth, slow development. It's still going on, and a lot of us are really, really, really tired of that. It's hard to be patient because it seems like it's gone on forever already. And also a feeling like we're not being supported. It feels like there's even with all the vaccines, and even with what we're doing, it feels like we still can't catch a break with this. Which with algae is reversed, which is protection and support, it is reversed on the lowest line. So it's just basically worried that we're not going to have the protection that we want to, and it feels like it just keeps going. So that could drag us down, but basically just, you know the drill, we know the guidance. What helps is that, and also just stay in communication, stay open to the communications that are coming in. This is something that is changing all the time, and so we have to be able to dance with it. What is the next step here is we have Ayavaz reversed, which is the rune of the horse, and the horse has to do with movement and also spirit. I'm just going to throw down the upper lower and the next for this. So it's movement and also spirit, but it is reversed. So it's sort of like, I guess what it's saying is that even after this point, our next step, really, we shouldn't be immediately rushing out and running around like we used to, because it's not safe yet. Even if we are tired of it, that doesn't mean it's over. Which a lot of people actually do have decided that that's the case, but it's really not. So that, and also, I'm actually going to do an upper lower, an upper and a lower lower on this line as well. Okay. So yeah, just basically don't run around. Don't immediately run around and say, okay, I'm going to pretend that there's no danger anymore and I'm just going to run out and do all this. That's not going to help, and it's if you do that. So your next step really is going to be still not running around, just sort of staying in place. Maybe not in lockdown, but just not deep traveling or anything. What's going to help with that is, again, be open for any surprises that might happen. And sort of ride out the negative emotions. Like, you might have these, but it's just like surf them, because we have Lagos reversed, which is the rune of it's the lake, so it's emotion, intuition, and heart. It is reversed and it's on the helping line. So we have Pertho, which is the rune of the lot box. That's surprises, things being revealed that were always there. Sometimes fate. So it's sort of to be open to that. So we're sort of continuing from here. Being open to the communications. And then just basically letting the surprises, being aware of them, like accepting them, and sort of just surfing The cat just knocked a thing off a table, and you probably heard it. What are you doing? You funny kitty. Anyway, so so surf negative emotions, basically sit with them, but don't identify with them. You're just going to get through this. It's just going to be something, and basically connect with your your deepest inner heart will help you with that. So just ride out that. Just be aware of the surprises that might come up, and just ride them out, basically. What won't help is, again, and this is basically almost the same sort of thing, where we have Yira for what isn't helping you. Yira has to do with harvest, but also time. And it really corresponds with the Ayavaz, which is it feels like it's been going on forever. And it's like, when is this going to end? How long this has been going on, how long is left. And beyond that is just like this, again, the feeling like, I want to be done with this. This is Gebo, which is the rune of the gift. It has to do with agreements, decisions, and goals. And a lot of people are like, this was supposed to be finished by now, and people are just mad that their appointment is not being made or missed. There are appointments being missed, and there are plans that you had that you can't get to because of this. But you know what? This is a fluid situation, so saith Lagos. So just basically be open and accept the reveals as they happen, ride out any negative emotions, and just basically don't run around too much just yet, because we're not there yet. Your outcome here is, you're going to have a greater inner strength, like greater resilience inwardly. We have Uruz, which is the rune of the wild ox, and it is reversed on the path lines, so it's basically inner strength. There we are. So what's going to help you with that is, again, just basically turn your journeys inward. There's a lot to do inwardly that you can do, and maybe even just bring to an end some journeys that you maybe had like outwardly. This is basically becoming a very I'm going to throw all these down, and for the other 2 readings I'm also going to throw all of these down because that's what it seems to be, so we'll see. So yeah, tend your needs. Make sure that your needs are tended. Be aware of that, and turn it inward as well. Make sure that your inner needs are being tended. You have your inner strength, but we've all gone through it. This is a global traumatic experience. So just basically go inward, do that journey work that you need to do, and tend your needs. What isn't going to help is and again, this all ties in with what came before as far as what isn't helping and what isn't continue to not helping is we have Kaunas reversed, which has to do with focus. Kaunas normally is about expansion. When it's reversed, it has to do with the narrowing of options, but also focus. So we have, leading up to that, we have the impatience, we have the stress over how long is this going to take, and also just this honing of focus on that, just like this fixation of this is going to go on forever. That's going to drag you down. Similarly, what isn't helping all of that is this feeling like we're not supported, this feeling like I had plans and I wanted to make something, like this is almost double that, because we've got it is literally double that from the image of it. But this is Ingvaz, and Ingvaz is about active creation. So you just wanted to do these things. There are things you wanted to do. You want to fix things. You want to make things. You want to create a new reality, and you can't, because the reality is the reality, unfortunately. So the fixation and the trying to, let's pretend that this isn't still going on, that's not going to help you. Bring yourself back up to where you're just, let's tend our needs. Let's make sure that all our needs are being tended. And what this will ultimately lead us to, the outcome for this particular moment, is we have Berkana reversed. Berkana is the rune of birth and beginnings, and really you're just basically going to start looking into you've become somebody, or you're becoming somebody new from this, like everybody is. We're sort of birthing a new us, and it's going to start deep. So just like this inward birth. At the same time, it is reversed, and as well as inner, that sometimes means like the end of. So there may be things that you will be bringing to, like either putting on pause. It's like things you wanted to begin that you are putting on pause, or maybe ending something before it can begin that, that may be a thing that you have to do. Mostly, though, I'm seeing this as the beginnings of a rebirth, the beginnings of a new yin identity for everybody with this regarding COVID and regarding that whole thing. But the main thing is just basically, be open to the communications, follow the guidelines. We still have ways to go with this, but just do that, we should be okay. And we're all heading for greater inner strength and new yin identity for ourselves, which is pretty neat. So there we go, that's COVID. On to the next one. Bye! Okay, here we are with the bird flu pile. Let's turn it and we'll see what that's about. Okay. Look, we even have it like a caduceus kind of thingy going on with the serpents. So the bird flu thing, it seems to me, as we're going to have a winged lion, it seems to me that it's it's still in negotiations of human-to-human transfer. So, based on the Two of Cups here. It's sort of figuring that out. It will, unfortunately, very likely. But it's almost like not yet. It is happening. It's like the human to the bird to human is happening, but the human to human is still sort of in negotiations. And there may be some natural healing happening that is keeping that from happening, because this is going between these. So it's like it's trying to figure out how to go from human to human, but it hasn't yet. So that's good. So let's let's see more about it. Let's see more about it from the runes. Bird flu, bird flu, bird flu. Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's still very much a concern. It's still very, very much a concern, but it's not the concern that maybe we were thinking it would be. I'm going to throw all the runes down for this reading at once, and then I'm just going to talk. Because when I was doing the other one, the first one, I saw sort of the shape of what these readings were all going to look like. So we're going to go with that. That. And they all were shaped like this. Okay, ooh, one more. Let me just see something. I always, with this rune set, there's the one that doesn't look like... Okay, I know what that is. Okay, bird flu. So, as the card would indicate, it's not figured out how to transmit from human to human yet, so that's good. It is transmitting from bird to human, especially in rural settings, but it's not yet figured out how to go from human to human, but it is trying, so that's a worry. So leading up, it's been patient. There's been a lot of patience happening. There's been a lot of slow development and slow growth, and so slow development, slow growth, and now we are seeing the results. We are seeing sometimes there are that. This is the harvest rune. It has to do with harvest and also time, but I'm also seeing this as like farm situations. I'm seeing this as like rural situations or farm situations, but also just basically the fruits of the labors of the patience of the virus. And also the conditions. I mean, there are conditions in which these things arise, where there's like, I mean, a lot of it's unethical, but there's a lot of extra unethicalness that leads to better situations where these things can be transmitted. So anyway, we're in a situation now where it is something that is coming up, and it is something that is sort of circling us, and it is something that we are aware of now, and that is a potential threat. But as the card says, it hasn't figured it out yet how to transmit between humans, but it's trying. So what will help is, A, it's having trouble birthing itself. Like, it's having trouble. We have Berkana reversed, which is the rune of beginnings and birth. It's reversed, and it's on the upper line, and that's what's helping us. It hasn't been able to do it yet. So it hasn't been able to begin yet. And above that, we have Pertho reversed. Pertho is the rune of the lot box. And normally when it's reversed, I either read that as inner revelations or negative surprises. I'm really seeing this as it hasn't been able to come out yet. Because if it was like upright, it would be like that. And this matched with this, I'm seeing this as it hasn't been able to get a foothold. It hasn't been able to begin, and it hasn't been able to reveal itself, like come out yet as far as something that is a threat to us. So that's something that you can just basically see as what's helping us right now, is that's still in that stage. What isn't going to help us is we have a lot of communication about it, and a lot of people are trying to make it into something terrifying. So we have Ansus, which is the rune of communication, and we have Ingvaz, which is active creation. It's Ing, the fertility god. And it's basically, you know, people really want to, the people who are reporting these things that want to make it spectacular and to grab people and to frighten them, they are doing their darndest to do that, and that can drag us down. But just bring yourself back up to the fact that it hasn't made that jump yet, and we're still before that stage. What the next step will be is we have Nauthiz. Nauthiz is the rune of need, and it's going to be about basically making sure that everything that we can do to prevent this from happening is being done. So it's basically tending all the needs, making sure that this is sort of like tied down. What will help is we have Algiz, which is the rune of protection and support, and the blank rune, which is basically being open sort of to whatever. So there are systems in place and there are people in place who are protecting us from this, who are keeping an eye on this and making sure that the needs are being tended, that are going to try to keep this from becoming anything. What isn't going to help is we're already pretty worn down and discontented from the COVID and other things. Like, we're already pretty unhappy. And also the situations where this is arising is a pretty miserable situation. And also, you know, it's a question of, we have Tivas. So we have Vunyo reversed. Vunyo is the joy rune. It's in the lower line, and it is reversed. So it's basically misery, and Tivas, a perpetuation of that misery. So there are people who are driving forward and continuing the misery that has led to this, is what I'm seeing. And also people are generally very miserable and want to get on with things from all the time we've been locked down from COVID. So there's that, and that's dragging us down. So just basically bring yourself back up if you start to get dragged down with that, to where, remember that there is support in place and there are things that are watching for these things and things that are being done to keep things tended that need to be tended. Our next step is we have Othala. Othala is the rune of the home and the homeland. I'm just basically seeing this more as we are relatively safe. We are relatively grounded from this. Most people who live in especially urban settings and like semi-urban settings are not going to be really too affected by this at the moment, because it's not figured out how to go from person to person yet. What is going to help us is our inner strength, our inner resilience, and we have, so that's Uru's reversed. Uru's the wild ox, has to do with strength and health. Reversed, but it's on the upper line, and it's inner strength, inner resilience, inner health. We're okay, you know, we're pretty protected from this. And what's going to help that is we have Kaunas, which is the rune of expansion generally, but it's the, you know, I'm seeing this more as like just being open, again, being open to, basically it's an openness kind of thing. I am going to throw one down on top of this one because it's not entirely clear, although it probably would be if I read the lower line first, but I'm not gonna. So yeah, so we have Dagas, which is the breaking of the day. So we're going to be open to any revelations that happen, and we're already in a good sort of standing. We're grounded. We're keeping ourselves, you know, close to home. We're kind of safe as far as that goes. What isn't going to help is, I guess, not doing nothing. This the whole thing about we feel like we've been doing nothing forever. We feel like we're just stuck, and we feel like we're losing our worth, and we feel like we wonder who we are, that we can't get out and do anything. And Fehu reversed, wealth and worth, and Isa, which is the ice rune. So it feels like we're stuck. It feels like we're losing our worth because we can't get out or do anything, but we do have to stay safe. It's not like paranoia. It's just basically, you know what, here's the drill. But in this case, again, we're open to any revelations, and we are already inwardly strong. And what this will lead to is we have Sovilo. Sovilo, our outcome rune is Sovilo. It's the rune of the sun. Has to do with source energy. Maybe this is a reference to the kind of food that we can think about, you know, changing our food intake to. Maybe there's safer foods to eat. Maybe it's a way to, you know, maybe it's like this is going to be a realization of the kind of nourishment that is going into the food that we eat. And maybe even this is basically an illumination of the darkness of the situation in which this is arising. So there's a lot of things that the sun could be doing, and it is also the vanquisher of evil and darkness and all that stuff. So maybe that will happen because of this, and that will, I mean, that's a beautiful dream, but it would be really good if there were some positive changes that sort of went towards preventing this from ever starting to happen again in the first place. So that is the reading about the bird flu. So on we go, next one. Bye. Hello. Okay, so this is the hepatitis one. Let's turn it and see what this one's about. Okay, yeah. So the thing about the hepatitis one is they're still trying to figure out what is causing it. I mean, I read that some people think it's sort of COVID based. Other people are it's looking, or saying that's really looking, for the most part, the latest report that I read is that it's looking more like it's connected to the adenovirus 41, I think was the one. So there's a lot of things they're still looking at, and there's still things about those theories that aren't really panning out. So right now they're still trying to figure out why this is happening. So there's a lot of things that they're keeping in mind, and unfortunately it does have a lethality to it. So it's really very frightening and very upsetting, and we definitely want that not to become extremely widespread, not that it isn't already. So let's have a look at what the runes have to say about that situation. I'm going to throw down the entire thing first, and then I'm going to talk about it. So let's see. Yeah, it's pretty frightening. I was reading about that earlier. Not that I read things in order to frighten myself, but in terms of, it's important to know about, because it's something that is happening. You know, we do have to be careful though, because you don't want to ruin your, mental health from doing that. Too late for me, but no, we have to be careful and just be mindful, and try not to fixate on things that we have no control over, and do what you can. So our central issue here is we have Nauthiz, and Nauthiz is the rune of need. It's the rune of making sure that your needs are tended. Make sure that you're not neglecting things that might lead to, well, basically the important thing is just tend your needs. Make sure that your needs are tended, your responsibilities are tended. Leading up to this, I think what this seems to be saying is that there was a narrowing of options. We have Kaunaz reversed, which is, Kauna is normally the rune of fire. It's something that starts like a spark and goes into a blaze. It's an expansion rune. It is reversed, and it's on the leading up stage. So we're sort of narrowing our options to the point where the only thing we can do is tend these needs and make sure that these needs are tended. It's becoming an emergency. It's not yet, or this would be reversed. So it's very, very important right now that we need to basically focus on this. And the other thing is that this is happening in children, and this is, you can't waste any time with one of these things. So you just basically have to make sure that immediately, as soon as it's an issue, just as soon as you see it, to do something. So that's what this is basically saying, is like, be aware of that. Keep your focus on that. What is going to help is we have Uruz, which is the rune of the wild ox, and B, I'm just randomly throwing out letters at this point. So the wild ox and the sun. So Velo. The wild ox is a solar animal that basically is nourished by the grass that the sun grows, and it's basically these go together. So basically make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep all the natural health things, like being, getting the exercise, getting into the sun, getting sunlight, making sure that you're getting the nourishment you need. So that sort of thing to keep you strong and keep you healthy as much as possible. That's basically going to be key. And then, you will have done everything you can. That's what you can do. What isn't going to help is we have Tivaz and we have Laguz reversed. So Laguz reversed is the rune of water. It's like the lake. So it's all the emotion, intuition, and heart. We're very, very afraid of misery and being like very, very upset, because this has been going on with COVID and everything, all the things with the diseases and all that. And we're almost like I'm saying hyper vigilant in terms of, we're worried about that because we have Tivaz, which is riding off and doing the thing and tending duties like immediately. So it's, again, this isn't an emergency yet. I mean, for some people it is, but on a global scale, it's still something that we're keeping an eye on. It's awful, it's horrible, and it is something that is very much going to be an emergency for people who are dealing with it. However, it is something that we definitely have to drop everything and tend our needs about. At the same time, I keep seeing this as like a hypervigilance about we want to prevent misery at all costs, and there's this you want to be just, it can drive you crazy, and it can drag everything down, and it can make everybody, high anxiety, severe anxiety, and things that have to do with that. So I mean, definitely tend the needs, because that's important. But on top of watching and being extremely, extremely vigilant, relaxedly make sure that you are doing these things. Eating healthily, getting exercise, getting out in the sunlight, and that's the thing that's going to help you the most in this step. Your next step here is we have Yira, which is the rune of the harvest and also time. And what I'm seeing this as is that we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure this out. We're going to figure out what's causing this. Not right now, but in a very near point in the future. Like the next major step about this is figuring out. It's gonna come to light what of these it is, and maybe it's not even one of these. Maybe it's something else. But we're gonna get the fruits of our labors on this. And when we do, we'll be in the middle of that. It'll be like the middle of this whole thing that's going on with the hepatitis showing up. What's going to help is basically protection at home. We have Othala, which is the rune of the home and the homeland, and making sure that in the home things are the way they need to be. So we have Othala, which is the rune of the home and the homeland, and Ingvaz, which is the rune of active creation. So we're basically not only protecting at home in the sanctuary of home, but also making sure that within the home we have controlled everything that we can to make sure that it's safe there. So it's basically, you're not going to save the whole world. You're just basically, I have control over this. I'm going to control this. What isn't going to help is there's a lot out there, and it's going to be like the whole, the internet and news media and communications that are not all from compassionate sources. And we have dagas, which is the breaking of the day, so it's like big loud illumination of things that are coming at you, things are overwhelming you, and it's communication. So we have ansus for communication. So overwhelming communication is not going to help at all, and that's going to freak you out. Try not to let that happen. At this stage where they figure out what it is, basically do what you can, like tend your acre, basically. Your next step is people are going to start to be happier. It's Vunyo, which is the rune of joy. So after they figure it out, the people are going to be breathing a sigh of relief. There's going to be more happiness about it, like in terms of, okay, we know what's wrong, we know how to fix it. What's going to help is, this is like the second time I've seen Pertho as a very, very positive things, like be open to the surprises. There will be revelations. People are like, oh, of course, okay, that. Be open to that, and that's going to just feed your continuing happiness in this matter. What isn't going to help is, oh man, so we have Rider reversed and Fehu reversed. So Fehu's the rune of wealth and worth. Reversed, it has to do with worries about losing wealth, losing worth, and also Rider, which is the reversed, which is it's the journey rune, so it's like ending a journey. So you're worried about all of these things. You just there's still a worry about, if I'm doing all these things, I feel like, you feel like there's like you're worried about wealth and worth. You're worried about your journey. You're worried about perhaps even inner journeys. I'm not sure. I'm actually going to throw one down just to clarify both of these because they're being, lovely. Yeah, so mostly it's we have Berkana reversed. That's the rune of birth and beginnings. It's so I think some people have lost people, which is very, very upsetting, and that's something that we need to keep in mind, and that's very, very sad. So you're still worried about that, even though they figured it out and all these things, it's still a worry. So this could still drag people down about that, but for the most part, once they figure it out, things are going to get a lot happier, and then we'll just keep open to what gets found out about it, and then move from there. And this one will sort of end. We have Isa. If I had to guess, I would say this situation will be over by the winter, because this is ice. But also just basically that after we've gone through all of these steps, it will end. There will be an end to this. This will be something that the doctors will figure out, and then they will be able to say, okay, when this happens, this is what we're going to do, and these are our preventative measures to make sure that it doesn't happen. So this one is very upsetting and frightening, but it's something that will shortly, it seems, be figured out and be contained. So fixed, corrected and fixed. So that is the reading about the hepatitis. So on we go to the next one. Bye. Hello. Okay, so here's the newcomer, the really scary one that is leaping about in the media right now, which is the monkeypox. So let's have a look at this. Oh no. No, it's not funny, but it kind of is. So, yeah, this... Do I even have to talk about that card? Do I even have to say like anything about it? I'm just going to throw down the runes and then we'll talk about things. Another one for that. Okay, so that's interesting. That was actually the central issue for another one of these. So I'm going to lay down all the whole rune reading first, and then we're going to talk about all of this. Yes, the monkeypox is definitely turning into something that we cannot ignore. So, good we're talking about it. So let's see. Oh, there's Hagalaz. I kept not pulling it, and I kept expecting it, and now we see it, but it's in a good place. Okay. Okay. Okie dokie. Okie dokie Loki. Okay, our central issue here is, oh, I should talk about judgment. Okay, so we are hearing a call. This is going out. This is the thing that everybody needs to pay attention to at this point, because it's, I mean, what they're saying is, it's the less lethal version, but something has changed with it because now it's transmissible. It's more transmissible. So they're keeping an eye on it. We're all keeping an eye on it, but like they're keeping an eye on it. It's not like it's not just scare tactics from the internet. It's actually real doctors are talking about it, and that should make us all perk up our ears and go, oh, we should probably listen to this. So unfortunately, it looks like this is something that we should be paying attention to. And you know, the whole thing about how the smallpox, we already have the smallpox vaccine. So there's that. We already have that. We haven't been using it in a long time, but it's something that does work against this. So at least we're going into this already with the vaccine, says the news article that I read earlier. So there's that. So it's sort of like a revival of that. But yes, looks like something that we need to be paying attention to. So our main central issue is Nauthiz, which is the rune of need. So it says tend your needs. It's not reversed, not yet, but it does say tend your needs. It's not an absolute emergency just yet, but it is important. Leading up to this, again, we have Isa. Nothing has happened about this for a long time, and then suddenly this. So Isa was standstill sort of leading up to all of this, and now suddenly, okay, we need to pay attention to this, we need to tend our needs. What will help is, I'm going to read this a couple ways. We have Yira, which is the rune of harvest and time, and we have Laguz reverse, which is the rune of emotion, intuition, and heart. It's the lake. So, trying to think how to start. The things that are being revealed, the things that are coming up, this is what's helping us. So stay on top of negative emotions, look deep and just basically find your inner heart, let that. But also, you know, in the very, very most practical, down-to-earth way of reading this, make sure you're staying hydrated with clean hydration, like clean water, and make sure you're eating healthy food. Clean water, healthy food. So and, you know, just basically be aware that this is something that it's like a season. We've been out of it for a while, and now it's rising up again. So the Yira is sort of seeing it as a season. It is something that's going to flow through. So there's that. What isn't going to help is this is going to unseat a lot of people. This is going to be like, we thought we were safe. Everybody's going to feel like really upset about this, and things are flying out of control and expanding. We have Othala reversed, which is the rune of the home and the homeland. It's reversed in the lower line. And we have Kaunaz, which is the rune of expansion. So we're like, this is out of hand. This is going to get out of hand. We're going to be out of our comfort zone. We're going to be not safe anymore. We're not going to be protected. And people are going to freak out. And that's going to drag us down. But just bring it back to watch for the things that are coming up about this. We're going to learn things, the fruits of our labors. There's a lot of people working on this. And also surf negative emotions. Like, you're going to be really worried, but just sort of like let those flow. Let those flow like weather. But also eat healthy, drink healthy. So your next step, our next step after this point is listen. We have Ansu's reversed. Ansu's is the rune of communication and manifestation. I'm actually going to read this a couple ways. Yes, listen. Be aware. Listen to what is coming out about this, because that's going to be extremely important. And we're going to just basically, but don't listen to like, make sure that there's codes of integrity on what you're listening to. Like, make sure. You really want to listen to like scientists and doctors. Don't listen to, you know, the people who want to, you know, this is happening, this may shock you. It's like, no, don't listen to those. But listen, keep your ear out to the proper sources, the people who actually know what they're talking about. What's going to help is be patient. This is a natural phenomenon. We have Hagalaz, which is the rune of, it's the hailstorm. So it's weather, it's the uncontrolled uncontrollables, and it is nature. It's natural. We are going to have to ride this out. We have Ivaz, which is the rune of the yew tree. It has to do with patience and slow growth and slow development. So we're basically riding out a storm. This is going to pass. This is going to go over us, but it's going to probably cause some damage while it does. It's out of our control. We do, as I was mentioning, you know, as the article said that I was reading, there are vaccines that exist that will help us with this. We have to make more, but at least we already know what we're doing with that. So just basically, just keeping in mind this is nature, and to, well, I mean, eat healthy, drink healthy. So what isn't going to help is a lot of people are already worried about their health. We have Uruz reversed, which is, Uruz is the strength and health reversed. It's worries about strength and health. Maybe even you are feeling like less strong and less healthy than you were. Maybe people have weakened immune systems from the whole COVID thing. And we're worried about like one more negative surprise. It's like, we don't need this. we've had enough. So that's sort of dragging us down at this point. But, you know, this is scary, but it's, you know, let's just be patient. Let's listen, be patient, and know that it is a natural phenomena. Nah. So our next step here is we have Sovilo. There will be a revelation. There will be an illumination of the darkness. We have the sun. Sovilo is the sun. So there is going to be not too far from here, like not too many steps from now, there will be, okay, here's what we know, and we know a lot about it, and here's the sun coming in and shining on everything, and okay, we know what we're doing with this. What will help is just go along with that journey. Let, you know, that this is a global journey, so this is something that if we are a part of it, then we are a part of it and not getting dragged along with it. And embrace this journey and control what you can, which is Ingvaz, which is the rune of active creation. It's the fertility god. So control what you can and embrace the journey. What doesn't help is it's overwhelming, and it feels like you can't even start anymore. Like I feel like it's like I can't even begin anything anymore, because then we get another thing like this and it's horrible, and I feel like I'm already weakened, and I feel like there's just no, everything that comes up is a bad surprise, and I'm not safe anywhere, and it's just out of control, blah, 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 all of this bottom section that is going to drag us down. Bring ourselves back up to this. Eat healthy, drink healthy, ride out the storm, like be patient through the storm, and embrace the journey and control what you can. And what this is going to lead us to, the outcome of this, is we are going to face a challenge. This is going to be a challenge, but it's going to be an open door challenge. So it's not going to be impossible. It is something we are going to have to maybe step up and do. So maybe there will be a new vaccine that we will have to just basically, okay, let's do that. Let's make sure that we are doing that again. Maybe we are going to have to bring back the smallpox vaccines, and maybe it'll be smallpox, monkeypox vaccines, who knows. But it is something that there will be a challenge that we'll have to step over the threshold for, to be like a new world. A new world in which this is all going on. Right now, this is monkeypox is endemic where it comes from. Maybe this is going to become endemic in other parts of the world, which is yucky, but oh well, that's life. So it's just, you know, embrace the journey. This is part of the story that we are living. And there is going to be a threshold that we will be crossing into a new world, that it's going to be the new world. So we'll see what happens with that. And so that is the 4 things that we're reading about today. So there we go. That's the readings. Take care till next time. Bye.